Happy holidays, everyone, and welcome to the first ever Gamer Logic Christmas episode. And on this episode, I wanted to talk about some of my favorite memories of Christmas, some of my favorite presents that I got throughout the years. A lot of my Christmas gifts I still actually have that my parents gave me or my family gave me, which is really awesome. So, since Christmas Eve is tomorrow, Christmas is just around the corner, I wanted to go through and just talk about some of my favorite Christmas memories. And man, you know, I really miss being a kid on Christmas. I really do. You know, other than my birthday, that was always the most exciting time of the year. You know, the family was always together. The extended family was always together. Lots of good food, lots of good people, just lots of fun. And of course, every kid, every person knows that anticipation of going to sleep on Christmas Eve and waking up on Christmas Day to see what you got. And obviously, you know, as you grow older and you learn the true meaning of Christmas, you know it's just not all about presents. But, you know, I got some really great stuff when I was a kid, and just kind of wanted to recall some memories of that. So let's get right into it. And first off, some of these Christmas memories are going to be all over the place, no particular timeline. So a little bit all over the place. If you're familiar with games and stuff, then you'll kind of get a general idea of the years. But as I was going through some parts of my game collection and looking at some of the memorabilia laying around my room, I just kind of recalled, oh yeah, I got that for Christmas Eve, I got that for Christmas Day. So first off is this beauty right here, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. I'm sure a lot of people are going, why would you want Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest? I love this game. This is one of my favorites. This was the first Castlevania game I played. Never playing the first Castlevania, I had no idea the major differences of it. So I just knew it for its great graphics, its great music, and its openness. It was unlike anything I played except Metroid, and I was a big fan of Metroid, so kind of similar, and I loved it. But Castlevania 2 was a game I used to rent all the time from our local video store. My parents would always get it for me, you know, on a weekend if I wanted it, and I'd play through it. But, you know, as time progressed and the video store started pulling out their back catalog of games to make room for newer games and make room for like Sega Genesis and Sega Master System and stuff, some of their games from their NES lineup would disappear, Castlevania 2 being one of them. And I finished Castlevania 2, but I never finished it myself. I finished it with the help of a password I found in one of these consumer review or consumer report strategy guides that they would put out for parents every once in a while. So I wanted to get through it myself. So I asked for it for Christmas. And the reason I asked for it, because I knew my parents could get it from a semi-local video game store that rented video games, but they also sold used video games. And I knew they had it there. It was like 15, 20 bucks. So I was like, hey, you know, I'd really like to get Castlevania 2 for Christmas. And I think my little brother requested Contra. So one memory that really stands out is I used to go outside with my Walkman all the time. And I used to listen to all sorts of different music, you know, modern music, whatever, but video game music too. And I don't know what it was. I was like sitting on my swing, listening to my Walkman and looking up in the sky, and it looked like it was something out of Castlevania 2, one of the backgrounds. And I was like, oh, what a horrible night to have a curse. And, you know, just going through my head, reliving some of the cool Castlevania moments and listening to my Walkman, I went, man, I really wish I could just listen to Bloody Tears right now. Obviously, I didn't know what the name of the music was back then, but I really wanted to hear the theme song from Bloody Tears. And, you know, it just kind of makes me laugh because I think, man, if I want to go listen to Bloody Tears now, obviously I have it on CD, or I could just go to the internet and type in Bloody Tears and hear 100 or more different versions of it. Back in my day, you couldn't do that, which is kind of funny to say. But I really wanted to hear that music. I really wanted to play that game. And of course, Christmas Day hits. I wake up and I rip open a couple presents, and my little brother got Contra, and I got Castlevania 2, and I played the crap out of it. I really did. So that's one cool memory. Now, we had like this curse in our household when it came to Christmas. Someone was always like deathly ill when it came time for Christmas. I remember my sister had the flu once. I remember my parents had the flu. Me and my little brother both had the flu, or we'd always have something. And this particular Christmas day, me and my little brother were wiped out from the flu. We were puking the night before. We were just totally sick, high fevers and all that. You know it's bad when you don't even want to get up for Christmas to get your presents. We were that laid out. But I remember my mom and dad coming into our bedroom, and they actually brought the presents to us because we were so sick. And we had this one huge one, and we opened it up, and it was a Nintendo Entertainment System Super Mario Brothers TV stand. It was Nintendo gray with red, and it could hold your games, it could hold your controllers, it could hold your systems. It was just really cool, and at that point, it kind of was a relic because those weren't available anymore. So I don't know where they found it. They must have found it at Kmart or something, but it was cool. We had our TV on top of it, we put our games in, and I remember actually playing Flashback or something like that. I think we had, you know, a Super Nintendo at that time too, so it was just kind of cool to have, even if it was a little kiddish by the time I got it. Hey, it had Mario and Nintendo on it, which is pretty cool. Now going back to Castlevania, renting Castlevania 2 and playing it, I wanted to know what Castlevania 1 was like, and it wasn't available at our video store ever. No video store around us had Castlevania 1. Little did I know at the time, Castlevania 1 was released, and then they ended up reprinting it or something like that. So I asked for Castlevania 1 for Christmas, or I kind of hinted that I wanted it. And Christmas Day came, and it was completely surprising to me because I always thought my older sister hated me as a kid. And there was a present from my sister, my older sister. And I opened it up, and what was it? Castlevania. And I was so happy. This was like one of my favorite gifts to get from my sister, and I'm pretty happy that I still have it, and I always remind her that I have it too. And I just remember opening it up on Christmas Day, popping it in, and playing it for hours. And you know what else I got? Now thinking about it, I got a whole bunch of other stuff for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day that was video game related, semi-video game related. I got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video on VHS. I remember watching that like 2 or 3 times that day, playing this. Trying a controller called the Quick Shot that my uncle got me. It was like this disc-based controller. It was like, picture the Intellivision controller disc without all the buttons and just 2 buttons on the side, and that's what it was like. Horrible controller, but it was cool that my uncle got us something. But man, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, that was awesome. But so was Castlevania, so big thanks to my sister for getting that for me back in the day. So moving on to the 16-bit era, I remember opening one present on Christmas Eve for myself, and my little brother opened up one on Christmas Eve. And that was a complete surprise because we didn't ask for them. It was Street Fighter 2 Turbo and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time. Sadly, don't have my Turtles in Time copy anymore. Technically, that was my little brother's anyway. But man, I mean, you can't go wrong with Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Obviously, it had the bosses, it had the 4 Grandmasters in it, and me and my little brother must have played for hours after opening these, and same thing with the Ninja Turtles game. I think we finished the Ninja Turtles game on Christmas Day. And I actually remember my sister coming downstairs to play Street Fighter Turbo. It was one of the few games she would play, and I think it was one of the few games she played on the 16-bit. But that was a cool Christmas because getting that was just tons of fun. Next up is a game that I sadly don't own on PC anymore, but I do have it on PlayStation 1, and this isn't the greatest version. Having a PC in the 90s, the like bookmark game or killer app, if you will, that people just love to play was MechWarrior 2, and me included. Being a big fan of mechs and following the BattleTech TV show on TV, I thought it was awesome to be able to pilot your own mech. So going through and borrowing MechWarrior 2 a ton of times from my buddies Just made me want my own copy of it, and I think my dad actually went out to a Kmart on Christmas Eve and grabbed it just because we asked so much for it. And man, MechWarrior 2, talk about how many times I went through that game as Clan Wolf or Clan Jade Falcon. Everything was killer about that game. The music was fantastic. The explosions, the graphics looked out of this world. There was NetMech, so you could play through a dial-up modem. Just so much fun. And what was cool, my dad, when he set up our first PC, it was this Packard Bell PC, he actually hooked up an amplifier and two big 15-inch speaker cabinets and put them up in the ceiling. He mounted it up in the ceiling. So when we played MechWarrior 2, you could turn that sucker up and it was just so loud. I mean, you felt every laser cannon, every missile, every, what was it, PPC cannon shots. Oh man, and that music, just so awesome. But another cool Christmas gift. Really makes me wish I would have kept all my big box PC games. I don't know why I got rid of them. Maybe I left them at the house when I moved and my mom sold them off or something, I'm not sure. So speaking of PC games, I will also recall a memory of my dad getting me 16 megabytes of RAM. Yeah, 16 megabytes of RAM. So I could play newer games on my 8 mega RAM Packard Bell computer. And the big game I wanted to play was Star Wars Jedi Knight. And I didn't have the full game. I had the demo of it. The demo came with a single player mission, I think the first single player mission, and then I think it was Cloud City for multiplayer that you could play on. What a blast, and it was cool getting the memory, popping that memory in, and I think being up to, I don't know, 24 megs of RAM, 32 megs of RAM. I thought my computer started with 8 back then. I think it was 32 megs of RAM. But just, you know, marveling at, oh my God, what a difference, how fun this is, and man, I love computers, and going through that stuff. Just another cool gift, even though, you know, it's weird. Like, I was starting to get really techie at that point, asking for RAM instead of games. Now, speaking of Star Wars, mid-90s was kind of a rebirth for the Star Wars, the original Star Wars trilogy, if you will. All the figures got re-released, put out by Kenner, if I remember correctly. The movies got re-released with special editions, new footage, CGI effects that not everyone loves, but I loved it at the time. And of course, the movies were re-released in the theaters. So Star Wars Mania was back. Everyone at school was talking about it. The games were awesome. The movies were back out. It was just a really, really cool time to be a Star Wars fan, because this was pre-episode 1, 2, 3, all of that stuff. One of the coolest Christmas presents we got that year, along with a whole bunch of other Star Wars related stuff. Like I got an X-Wing that year, which was just this cool, awesome, full-size X-Wing. We always had tons of the Star Wars figures with a big C-3PO, collector's case for figures. But our favorite gifts that we got that was Star Wars related this one Christmas was a lightsaber. Now obviously it's hard to see how red this is because it's daytime, and this isn't one of the original lightsabers we got anyway, but the ones we got were from Kenner, and they were telescopic, so they were about this big when you got them, and then you hit them out and it came out to like a 3-tier level. I got a Darth Vader lightsaber, just like this one right here. And Matt got a Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi lightsaber, if I remember correctly. And our basement was so cool downstairs. It was really big. It had tons of stuff you could hide behind. It was kind of sectioned out in 3 different areas. And I also got the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back soundtrack. So you got to picture this. I got my lightsaber. Matt's got his lightsaber. The basement is completely dark. We're hiding in the basement, looking around for each other. The Star Wars Empire Strikes Back soundtrack is playing, and bam, I hit my lightsaber, turn it on, trying to find Matt, and Matt flies out from some corner trying to kill me practically with his lightsaber, and we would just go at it and have lightsaber duels for like the next 2 hours. We beat the crap out of our lightsabers. Matt swung like he was in Major League Baseball, so if he hit you, if you didn't block that thing, it would hurt. And I know there were a few times where our fingers were swollen from nailing each other with lightsabers, but we were pretty good at fighting each other by the time it was all said and done. That was just tons of fun. You know, reliving those Star Wars memories as a kid. Obviously, in retrospect, they're not as cool as these, especially when you see some of the other ones that are out there. But all I know is if we would have had these as kids, we would have broke them instantly, because I know they say not to hit each other with these. They're not for actual dueling. They're more for display purposes than anything. You know, toys were always really cool to get for Christmas. Some of my favorites, back when Street Fighter II had its own toy line, and they were G.I. Joes, but they were in the Street Fighter universe, which was kind of funny. Or actually, it should be the opposite. It should be the Street Fighter universe was in the G.I. Joe universe. So you got these interesting little Street Fighter figures, and then they started putting out all these weird vehicles. One came with M. Bison, one came with Guile. My little brother got the one that came with Champion Edition Guile, and I got one that came with Champion Edition M. Bison. I can't remember them very well, but I just remember them coming with the different figures and just being really cool, even though looking at them now, those figures are pretty crappy. Other cool toys, I mentioned I was a fan of the BattleTech TV show, and I used to read the novels, and I was a MechWarrior 2 fan. I loved the BattleTech toys that used to come out, and I wish I still had them. Occasionally I look on eBay, and I kind of get the want to like just pick one up, pick up a nice boxed one, but we loved those. They were cool. They came with these battle damage portions where if you shot a missile from another mech and hit it at a certain point, stuff would blow off the mech. Like Mauler, I think, was the one I had for mine. If he got hit in his chest, his leg would fall off and be completely disabled. There was another one you could hit and he'd get ejected from his mech because they came with these little pilot figures, but all of them had different missiles and power-ups, and I remember the one I really, really wanted was the Banshee, which was like the flying one. I thought that was the coolest thing, but we had little Elemental, we had Toad, we had Sloth. God, I'm trying to remember all the different ones, but we got various ones of those for Christmas, and I miss those. Maybe one of these days I'll jump on eBay and see if I can find one for a decent deal. It's just, how many more collectibles do I need, you know what I mean? So next up, didn't get too many consoles for Christmas, but I did get one console, and even though we had it for a while, it was being borrowed to us, it was eventually given to us by our cousin Becky. Very cool. The Game Boy came with a whole bunch of games. It had Spider-Man, Double Dragon, Tetris, obviously, and a few other games, and it was just fun. And the fact that we were kind of sad that we were going to lose the Game Boy when they came over for Christmas was understandable, but we got ready. It was cool that they let us borrow it for like half a year, and then we were told, hey, we see you really like the Game Boy, why don't you keep it? So that was pretty cool. Love the original Game Boy. What else did I get for Christmas? Miscellaneous games. You know, I can't remember what year I got it, but I did get Mega Man X for Christmas, and I'm trying to think. I may have gotten this when I got Street Fighter II Turbo and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, but another great game. Played the crap out of it, and I think when I finally got it for Christmas is when I sat down and spent enough time trying to unlock the Hadouken power-up for it. What else? What else? Sometimes when we had extended family come over, my cousin David used to bring games for us to play and let us borrow. And 3 of those games, and I think I have at least 2 of them, was Metroid and Bionic Commando. And he also let us borrow Life Force. And he brought those over, we played them for a while. I loved Bionic Commando, it was so much fun, as well as Metroid. And I think when it was all said and done, he actually let us keep Metroid and he let us keep Life Force, but he wanted Bionic Commando back, which is understandable. That was a fun game, but I eventually picked up Bionic Commando myself. But man, gotta love Metroid. Some other Christmas presents that we got that were game related. One Christmas we got Kung Fu Master and Skater Die. I think I got Kung Fu Master, Matt got Skater Die. Kung Fu Master was one of my favorite games to play on the Commodore 64, and my dad knew that, so when he saw it was available for the NES, he figured it was a perfect thing to get, so he got that for me, and it was fun. I liked it more than the Commodore 64 version, and I can actually recall going through the manual and filling out my high score for the game with a permanent marker, and thinking back now, I probably would have yelled at myself for doing it, but this was so much fun. It's an easy game by today's standards, but loved it. And Skater Die, this was actually one my sister used to play too, and we used to have a blast with this, with all the different levels that you could go through, the fact that you could play up to, I think it was 8 players I think you do, and then 2 players simultaneous, which was really cool. Just fun Christmas memories with these. Donkey Kong Country, tons and tons of kids got this for Christmas, and I love the crap out of this. The music is one of my favorite things about this game. But my little brother and I, when we got this on Christmas Day, spent the entire rest of the year that remained going through it, getting all the extra percentages, and just conquering the crap out of this game. Love this game. It doesn't get the respect it deserves. And finally, another memory of mine that I got for Christmas, and it'll be the final one, is this atomic arcade pinball machine that my parents got me for Christmas. And this is cool because I wasn't a big fan of pinball when it was in the arcades. My dad put 2 quarters in one. I saw the ball fly down the middle, never really got a chance to play, and decided I'd rather be playing video games. So this came along later, and I completely forgot about this thing. But on Christmas, my parents got it for me, showed it to me, put in the giant 4D batteries that it came with, and I played this thing for hours. Cool sound effects, portable, just hours and hours of entertainment. I'll never forget turning it on like in the middle of the night once, and my parents got so pissed because this thing was loud. And I just remember I'd turn off that damn pinball machine. So kind of funny these days that I still play pinball just on a bigger scale, but classic. This isn't the original one I had. Funny enough, I went to a flea market a couple of years ago and found this, and I didn't realize it was the exact same one until I opened it up and really looked at it, but I think I got it for like 10 bucks, which is awesome. So overall, guys, that's kind of just a slew of some of my Christmas memories and some of the things I got for Christmas. Looking back on all this stuff, I was a pretty lucky kid for Christmas. I really was. And you know, I have a hard time with Christmas these days just because the luster of Christmas just isn't the same as it used to be. You know, we don't always get a chance to all see each other in the same place anymore. You know, we don't always get a chance to see the extended family anymore. People have kind of gone their separate ways with things. And it's just nice to still have some of this stuff and be able to recall some of these memories because, you know, some of those memories you can't get back. And the only thing you can really do is start new ones and kind of move on. But I look at all the stuff I got for Christmas fondly, not just because they were cool presents, but because of the situations and the circumstances regarding back then. And I think my little brother, myself, and my older sister were pretty lucky to have the family we did, and pretty lucky to have the holidays that we did. So that's all for me, guys, and I just want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Have a safe one. Enjoy your gifts. If you have family, enjoy your family, and that's all for now.